everybody, and welcome to Ask Me Anything About Politics. This is the show where you can ask me anything that you like about politics, and I will do my best to give you a great answer. I know that politics can be really confusing when you're first trying to learn about it. I know that it can be particularly confusing these days with all of the business that is going on with the propaganda and misinformation and whatnot. Well, that is what we are trying to fix here on the live stream. We are trying to create a place where y'all can ask questions about politics and you don't have to worry about trying to figure out what's real and what's not real and trying to, parse out what's misinformation and what's propaganda. We are here to help everybody figure out exactly what is going on with the government. So, if you got any questions about politics, just let me know in the chats, and I will do my best to give you a great answer. So, yeah, any questions? You just throw them in the chat, and we will get to answering them. What's up, Papa Bear? What's up, Short? Good to see y'all again. Having some technical issues here. Let's see here. That's that. All right. So Luigi says, "Do you think y'all will overthrow the Venezuelan government?" So I don't know. I know that weirdly the Trump administration is trying to start a war with Venezuela, even though he said that he was going to be the peace president, even though his base is against forever wars, and pretty much everybody in America agrees this is a bad idea. The Democrats seem they are trying to advance a bill in the House to make it illegal for Trump to unilaterally start a war with Venezuela. We'll see if Republicans in Congress are on board with that. There are some very hawkish members of the Republican Party who I think are potentially really excited about having another war, and their buddies in the military-industrial complex will get a ton more money. And so, yeah. I don't know, but I sure hope that it doesn't happen. Laugi. All right, what's up, Troy? May Paul says, "Do you think we can reunite as a country, or have we reached the point of no return?" 100% we can reunite as a country, May Paul. But yeah, it's going to be a struggle. The billionaire class is going to be working hard to continue to divide us. Right-wing media is going to continue to lie to people and try to get people to, fight amongst themselves. So yeah, but we have the option of not falling for that bullshit. And we have the option of being part of a coalition of people who will try our best to not let that bullshit fly. What's up, DJ? Good to see you. Thank you for sending me those Twitch reward icons. I don't know what power you have as a moderator to start implementing that stuff, but if you have it, I say go for it. Cuz 808 says, "Thoughts on Sharia law? What are your thoughts on Judea law?" Cuz 808. Yeah, I don't believe that any government should be operated by the precepts of a religion, but I think that people should be free to practice their religion. I don't think that there should be a separation between. There should be a separation between church and state. Full stop. Let's see here. Anthony says, "War might just be the only thing we have left as far as financial stability." I see I think you're being flippant there, Anthony, but right now it appears as though the entire U.S. economy exists on an AI bubble, and so that's very exciting. Let's see here. Maple says they are also starting to target their political opponents. Yeah, but we have not seen the escalation in political violence that we thought was going to happen after Charlie Kirk got assassinated. So I don't know. I think we we may be stepping away from the ledge of escalating political violence. Johnny Flytrap says, "Well, hey, why is the right normalizing Trump demanding the death penalty? Because it benefits them. Yeah, it's bananas. Yeah, the right, the coalition of the right is constantly looking for things that they can agree with Trump on, and because the fellow with the island files are not that thing anymore, now they're looking for other things." Okay, let's see here. Big Al says, "Do you support LGBTQ rights?" Yes, I do. All right, DJ, I'm going to try my best to remember that your name is Pat. Good morning to you, JP. Luigi says, y'all having U.S. agents in Greenland using propaganda, trying to separate the Kingdom of Denmark. Don't love me in with that, man. I didn't vote for this shit, and I'm trying my best to get people to vote against this shit going forward. So yeah, as far as like the agents in Greenland, I think that was kind of like a failed attempt by the Trump coalition. Like his kids were sent over there to try to hype everybody up to being owned by America or some shit. It's so stupid, you know. Maypole says, even with the censorship of the e-files only targeting Democrats, like that one agent was recorded saying on a date to impress her. Triska, what's up? Good to see you again. Yes, Maypole, I am similarly concerned about that. About what version of the files are we going to see in a month's time, which I believe is when Pam Bondi said she would be releasing that stuff. So yeah, I'm worried about that. I believe that not all of that data is sitting in the hands of Kash Patel, so it's possible. It is possible that any attempts to doctor that information past the point of no return will fail. Dayton says, I'm just a little confused. Why are the files being released now, but not when Biden was president? So there was currently there was a trial still going on, and so that information was protected until the end of the trial. Additionally, Ro Khanna says that the Democratic Party made an effort to get that information released in 2023. Merrick Garland was, playing things very slowly because he did not want to be accused of using the Attorney General's office to go after Biden's political enemies. So there's a couple of reasons there for you. Chris Fink says Democrats are the ones protesting burning down neighborhoods, promoting violence, and killing people. That's not accurate, Chris. Ask a question or I'm going to boot you. Danny is terrible says, do you think we'll actually see the whole e-files? Not right now, but potentially eventually. Maypole says Trump also had 4 years in the same position as Biden. Yeah, and Epstein was found dead in his jail cell while Trump was president. I think that's pretty interesting. Luigi says, we are your allies for fuck's sake, LOL. And to be honest, it's quite embarrassing. I agree with you, Luigi. And yeah, I didn't vote for any of this crap. Average Joe, good to see you again. Kingston, good to see you again. It's the Rocketeer says, you can call me his Lord Highness, Captain It's the Rocketeer. I'll see whatever rolls off the tongue better, Pat. Average Joe, how much more blatant do Trump's threats of violence need to be for the delusion of left-wing violence to break? I mean, that one doesn't seem like it's going anywhere anytime soon, as right-wing media continues to overhype and completely make up left-wing violence and completely ignore right-wing violence and Donald Trump's rhetoric. I don't believe that this is going to break through the way that other things are. Chris Fink says, Democrats hate facts, and you prove it. Congratulations, Chris. I warned you, and now you're out of here. Tina Moss says Trump had him arrested. No, he did not, Tina Moss. That was not his decision. Danny is terrible says, never forget that Pam Bondi said they didn't exist. That is accurate. Alrighty. Keomatic says, how do you help someone who is knee deep in conspiracy theories of MAGA Republicans and always, I don't see the rest of your question there, Keomatic, so maybe, Tina Moss says, who was it? It was the FBI. It was Christopher Wray, Tina Moss. But yeah, he did not say, go arrest that guy, everybody. Schrodinger says, what do you think about communism? Well, we already have some communism here in America. Any company that is employee owned is communist. And I think that's great. We have never seen a country be full communist. I don't know if we ever will, but a mixed model seems like it works pretty good. I just think maybe we have a little bit too much capitalism here in America. Maybe we could use a little bit more socialism and communism to balance out all of the capitalism that we have. Okay, let's see here. Whatever dude says, 3 Democrats have admitted their ties to the fellow with the island because of indisputable facts. GOP 0. What about Donald Trump? Whatever, dude. What do you think about that? Tracy says, do you think Trump will take us into war with Venezuela to distract from the files? I mean, I think that there's a lot that Trump does that have multiple benefits, so like starting a war with Venezuela has the benefit of tearing down a left-wing authoritarian. It has the benefit of making a ton of money for Raytheon and other military-industrial complex actors. It has the benefit of accessing oil for all of Trump's billionaire oil buddies that he's going to want to make a lot more wealthy. And potentially distracting from the e-files. H8 says, Jared, give us better weather tomorrow. You got to stop making that joke, man. There's too much anti-Semitism in the world for us to continue brushing that off. Porter says, I have given up on every last one. No politician isn't corrupt. They are all in cahoots. That is not accurate, Porter. And when you say things like that, you are giving cover to the worst actors. You cannot tell me that every single politician is as corrupt as Donald Trump or as corrupt as Robert Menendez or as pieces of shits as Kash Patel and Ted Cruz and shit like that. So please stop spreading that both sides bullshit. No other president has had a crypto coin. Politicians don't regularly have gold bars in their pocket from the Egyptian government. It is not accurate. Kimberlina says, is it true articles of impeachment are being drafted? I haven't heard about that. I'm sure that the Democrats in the House are potentially, in the middle of it, seeing if they win the midterms. Then potentially we will see an impeachment happen then. All right, the Hausa land says, Indigenous Hausa international protests at Berlin, Germany. Please don't spam with that. I don't know what that is. Likely says, are you going to read all of the files? Potentially. I don't know. But I do want to say thank you to everybody who helped me reach my first gift goal. Triska, Comcappy, and Counting Blocks. Y'all are dope as hell, and I really appreciate you guys being here. I heard that these gift goals are good for the algorithm, so we are going to continue to set these up. All right. Okay. Monica says, most of our Democrats are dead. What does that mean? M. Myers says, is it possible to redact names if they release the files? So there is reporting that they are redacting information in the files. So we'll just have to wait and see what they release. Likely says, are you Italian by any chance? I am on my mom's side. Kiomatic says, can anyone join the guest panel to ask questions? You can ask them in the chat if you like. I'm very mercurial about when I allow people up on my live stream. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It is just whenever I feel like it. Kiomatics. Joel says, do you think after this administration in 2028, any of these people are going to be arrested? I think it depends on how much political power we give the Democratic Party, because if we give them just, razor thin margins by which they can actually try to accomplish anything, it's possible that we get a bunch of, centrist, civility police Democrats like Merrick Garland who are going to be way too concerned about how it will look to throw people from the Trump administration in jail. And thank you, Musking, Crazy Monsoon, Comcappy, and Triska for helping me reach my second gift goal. All right, here we go. Gift goal number 3 coming right up. Okay. Boo. Likely says, by chance, if Trump gets impeached, is there another election? No, if Trump gets impeached, then the office goes to the vice president. Okay, Ren Amiyama says, just so you know, math is short for mental abuse to humans. Oh, I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that before. Can you give me an example of how somebody would use it? Claudia Robinson says, what do you think about Trump threatening to hang Democrats? It's just the same old escalation and inciting his base to violence that he's been doing ever since he descended the golden escalator in 2015. And I think that we all need to call it out for being irresponsible and dangerous. And I think we need to call out when people on the left, like judges who rule against Donald Trump or those 2 state senators in Michigan, get attacked by people on the right, so that we can call this out. And not as a way of saying, let's retaliate, but as a way of saying what Trump and people on the right are doing rhetorically is dangerous, it is irresponsible, and it is one of a billion reasons why we should not let them have any political power in the future. Vote against them, replace every single one of them with a Democrat, make them pay for this at the ballot box, everybody. There is nothing more important. All right, and Catherine Randall, thank you so much for helping me reach my 3rd gift goal. Man, oh man, we're really hitting them today. Let's see if this helps with the algorithm. All right, we're doing finger hearts next. Fantastic. Okay. D. Scott says, did you hear what the judge in the Comey trial said. So I heard a synopsis of it. Basically, the Trump DOJ is so, not only are they corrupt, but they're also incompetent. And so they are cutting corners in a way that it is making these fraudulent cases fall apart even faster than we could have predicted. And so yeah, it's bananas. And I hope that people are talking about it, because it is just, again, one of a billion reasons why Trump and Republicans have got to go. Because even if the Republican Party, individuals in the Republican Party aren't directly responsible for or advocating for this, they are allowing it to happen. Like, the Congress being in the hands of the Republican Party means that it is their job to make sure that the Department of Justice is not just acting as an enforcement wing of Donald Trump's Gestapo. And we reached my fourth gift goal. Lindsay Triska, thank you so much for that. Really appreciate that. All right, let's keep this fucking party going, guys. Okay, what do we got next? We got finger hearts at 15. Fantastic. Woo-wee. I wish there was a way I could automate this, so I wouldn't just take breaks from answering questions. Joel says, are we ever going to find out all the corruption money after Trump is gone? I think it's unlikely, Joel, specifically because a lot of the money that he is grifting right now is from CryptoCoin, and that is designed to be invisible. It is designed to be dark money there's no history of or direct record of. So yeah, it is very likely that we will never know the full extent of the corruption of the Trump administration. But there's a lot of it that is happening out in the open. So, we can go after him for that. What's up, Lauren? Good to see you again. May Pohl says, what do you think about Trump saying Democrats telling troops to get lawyers to see if disobeying orders as treason? It's not. Trump does this thing where he just says things and hopes that it gets repeated by enough people that it becomes true eventually. That's the reason why he was saying the e-files thing is a hoax, and affordability is so much better now. People aren't talking about it, but man, oh man, prices are down, everybody. It's crazy, Okay, Kingston says, what's interesting about Obama and Trump? Obama is much like Batman, who refuses to stoop to Trump's level because he knows doing so would compromise his own moral code. But Trump is like the Joker, doesn't believe in any moral code, and would rather go screw it, nothing matters. I mean, I don't think that we should even give Trump the credit of being the Joker. Real comic book fans recognize the brilliance and the layers of the Joker, especially in his relationship to the Batman. Donald Trump is just he's an invasive species. He's like a parasite, It's I don't believe in giving him any more credit than he deserves. JP says, I can't wait to start spending points on new emotes. Cool. All right. Yeah, I don't know how this shit works, but that sounds fun to me, I suppose. I wish I knew more about this. Sebi just wrote Stein. That's an anti-Semitic dog whistle, so we're just going to go ahead and block that dude right away. Quirlick says, what's a good news source? The best news source, Quirlick, is multiple news sources. So get your news from a bunch of different sources. Get it from legacy media, independent media, foreign media, centrist media, progressive media. The only thing that you should avoid is right-wing media. And that's not because I disagree with them. It is because the data shows, study after study have shown, that right-wing media is very far from accurate. Some reporting puts it at only 20% accurate. So you want to get your information from accurate sources, but even accurate sources can be a little bit biased, so get it from multiple sources. But if you already have a source that is so biased that it is only 20% accurate at best, you can just go ahead and not look at that at all. Right, Osher says Ground News. Yeah, I do love news aggregators like Ground News and the Reddit news feed. Utopia Home says, if judges, SWAT, FBI have to identify themselves, then ICE must too. I completely agree with that. Osher says, love the content as always. Do you tune into Bill Maher ever? His latest episode had odd conclusions. That could be the subtitle for the last 5 years of Bill Maher's life. His latest episode has had having odd conclusions, Asher. So yeah, man, that dude got old. He's bananas now. He used to be a real champion of the left, and now he's just a weird old centrist who is believing all of the propaganda. Let's see here. SBG Labrador says, anytime you say gotta go, you're a simp. You guys find another live to soak up. What a weird thing to say, SBG. Maybe be nice to people. Large Specimen says, where is he getting money from other than the pump and dump at the start of the presidency? That is an excellent question, Large Specimen. So, in addition to the pump and dump, there is also, I believe that when you set up a cryptocurrency, you are allowed to set up a fee structure. So, potentially there are crypto coins out there that you can trade, and every time you make a trade, you're not really losing any money to transaction fees. But the Trump coins have a ton of transaction fees. So even if the coin goes to zero value, they will still make a ton of money from any time somebody buys or sells it, they are making money. But additionally, we know that, like, I believe the Saudis have bought like $2 billion worth of Trump coin or some shit like that. And that's just what we know about. Like, we don't know everybody who is pouring millions or billions of dollars into Trump coin, but they can go to Trump later and be like, look, I did this. Can you, I don't know, give me a security guarantee as though we're in NATO? And then Trump goes, you got it, Qatar. You got it, fucking Arab Emirates. You got it, the Saudis. Yeah, man, it's fucking disgusting. Okay, Patricia George says, talk politics. It is what it is. I mean, we have the power to change it, Patricia. So that's probably a better attitude to have. Marie Hyatter says, anybody who does business with the Trump family gets what they deserve. I mean, let's hope so. That feeling 123 says, Charlie will be avenged. That sounds really ominous. That feeling one. I hope that you are not encouraging political violence or anything. Ebo Hassi says, can I join? You can ask questions in the chat. I'm very mercurial about when I bring people up. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Luke says, are you Jewish? Technically not, because my dad's Jewish and my mom isn't. But if you're one of those people that believes that one drop of Jewish blood makes you a Jew, then yes, I am. And I have a very Jewish last name, so, that feeling one says, oh, but when Kurt got it, you all loved political violence. That's not true, that feeling one. Every single person on the left, elected politician, anybody with a large platform, was denouncing political violence in the strongest possible language when Charlie Kirk got assassinated. There might be individual people on social media who may or may not be real who were celebrating Charlie Kirk getting assassinated, but nobody with a platform was advocating for that or celebrating it. But there were people on the right who were saying that they were calling for political violence after that. There was a fucking column in the Daily Wire that a dude put his fucking name on saying, I am calling for political violence against the left. So you can miss me with that feeling when. Ask a question or I'm going to boot you. Fog War Productions says, Kirk was murdered at my sister-in-law's school, and she and nobody there want vengeance at all. From praise, thank you so much for saying that, Fog War Production. Asher says, how often do you experience anti-Semitism on a day-to-day? Is it rare, only online? I would say it is 99.999% online. And I'll probably get like, I don't know, 1 or 2 comments a day on my live stream, maybe like 1 or 2 comments a week on my videos. Right. Sky Heiser says they were caught celebrating on camera off air. I don't believe that is true, Sky Heiser. That feeling when says immediately says he's going to boot you when you disagree with him. Classic liberal. No, I didn't. I said ask a question or I'm going to boot you. That feeling when. Schrodinger says 1 state or 2 state solution. So obviously a 2 state solution would be better. We need to do more to protect the sovereignty of the Palestinians. But a lot of people who study this issue, professionally, all the experts are saying that it is likely that we are past the point of a viable 2 state solution, that there's going to have to be some other option for coexistence between the Palestinians and the Israelis in that region, because there have been so many illegal West Bank settlements that now there's not one contiguous path for Palestine to be its own state, and so I'm open to other options there. I don't think that there is any substantive arguments against the fact that Israel has committed war crimes, Israel has committed genocide, Israel has been doing apartheid against the people of Palestine for a long time. Alrighty. Schrodinger says, I had the exact opposite view. All right, well, tell me what you think about it. I'm fine with people disagreeing with me. That feeling one says, brings up politicians denouncing it. Who cares about the politicians? The people matter. Congratulations. I have had it up to here with your bullshit. That feeling one. Diego says, just stop talking about it. It's been months and everyone is still blowing each other up. Nothing. I don't know what you're saying there, Diego. What exactly are you talking about, Diego? Are you talking about Israel or are you talking about Charlie Kirk? Don Traverse says, can the tax cuts put in place for billionaires be removed by the next administration? They can, 100%. It is not easy, but so long as you have a lot of Democrats in the Senate and in the House, then we can remove tax cuts for billionaires. We can increase taxes on billionaires. We can cut taxes for the 99%. We can reinstitute programs that help the 99%. We can put regulations back on those businesses so that they're not going to be poisoning our air and our water and our food any longer. So yeah, let's all fucking do the work and get out there and fucking elect some Democrats, everybody. Let's get some of these fucking Republicans out of there who are letting all of this fucking shit happen, you know? Kingston says, I feel like Democrats are the Jedi and the Republicans are the Sith. Both are in the push and pull. It's so interesting how politicians get to certain points. I mean, again, I don't give Republicans the credit of even being Sith, you know? Let's see here. Patty Byrne says, you are full of... I'm not going to let you finish that sentence because you're not asking questions. Diego says, I'm talking about all of it. Israel and Palestine are not stopping. They are getting free money to fight. You know, Diego, we're not giving any money to Palestine to do fucking fighting. We are giving money and weapons to Israel, though. So I think we should stop sending money and weapons to Israel because they have been found guilty of war crimes and genocide. Z45 says, do you support socialism? Yes, I do support the military and the post office and fire departments and public education. That's all socialism. And we could probably use a little bit more, like socialized healthcare and universal basic income, for example. Wally says, but you never did any of this. What do you mean by you never did any of this? Laoji says, if America is the greatest, why do so many metrics show otherwise globally? I don't believe that America is the greatest. I think that America does a lot of really good things, but America does a lot of really bad things also. Z45 says, good news, man. All right, glad to hear it, Z45. Dan Blackwood says, national parks. National parks are also socialist. Absolutely. EJP says, thoughts on Trump calling for the hanging of lawmakers on Truth Social today. It is a continuation of Trump's rhetoric promoting political violence, of inciting his base to violence, of trying to normalize violence against people on the left. A judge's house was burned down that ruled against him. 2 state senators in Michigan were assassinated, and those were all done by right-wing violent agitators. And so I think that we need to send a message to the Republican Party that this is politically toxic, that if you advocate for violence in this way, then we will no longer vote for you or anybody else in your party. It is one of a billion reasons why I think it is essential that we vote every Republican out of office from president to dog catcher. All right, Bald Eagle says, Trump is the GOAT and all you do is lie. That's not a question, Bald Eagle, so you are out of here. Dylan Jam Jammy says, did they actually find out who burned that house? I don't know, actually, but I think it's pretty accurate to say that it was done because she ruled against the Trump administration. But I need to double check and see if they ever did actually catch that person who did that. Scott says Romney had to hire a small army of security guards. That is true because of threats of violence from Trump's base. Kimberlina says, I swear autocorrect is trying to make me look illiterate all the time. I always give my regulars the benefit of the doubt there. Cursive 10 says, thoughts on the Israel lobby's power. So I am against lobbying organizations, well-funded lobbying organizations that have an outsized influence in our government. That includes AIPAC, but also Heritage and the Federalist Society. So yeah, I don't understand this hyper focus on Israel and AIPAC. There is a lot that the government of Israel and AIPAC have done in the past that is well worth condemnation. But AIPAC is not the only lobbying organization that puts influence on our government to do things that are not for the benefit of the 99%. All right, Kuru says, will the e-files be released and will they be damning? So yeah, Trump signed the bill saying that they're going to be released. I am worried that they have been doctored by Kash Patel because he is a Trump sycophant who is only interested in protecting him. There's been some reporting suggesting that he was redirecting FBI agents to stop going after criminals and instead just spend all of their time redacting Trump's name from those files. So, you know, I'm skeptical that we're going to see any damning information from it. But we'll see what gets released by Pam Bondi in 30 days. I believe she said 30 days is when that was going to happen. Okay, let's see here. Susie Spanish says, why isn't Texas happy about the Texas map being struck down? It could be a dummy mander. I mean, I think that they just don't like being told what to do. I think Susie Spanish, like they went through all the trouble of trying to steal 5 extra House seats. And maybe they gerrymandered too hard, and that was going to bound to the benefit of the Democratic Party. We don't really know what's going to happen with that until, what do you call it, until the election happens. But yeah, it might be more beneficial for Texas to have that struck down than to not have that struck down. You're 100% right about that. And I hit my 5th gift goal today, everybody. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the donations. Crazy Monsoon, Triska, M, Comp Cappy. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate the support, everybody. Setting up gift goal number 6. Gift goal number 6. Where is it? Finger hearts. 20 finger hearts. All right, here we go. Okay. Here we go. Pam says, what should happen to Trump calling for the death of Democrats for asking military to honor their oath? That is a really good question, Pam. So for us citizens, the work is the same. Like, we should be enraged and activated by Trump actively trying to bring violence against his political enemies, either state sanctioned or vigilante by his base. We should continue to put political pressure on our elected representatives for there to be some accountability for Trump doing this. We should let them know in no uncertain terms that we are not fucking cool with this. We should strike and boycott and protest anybody that is working with the Trump administration who is either implicitly or not advocating for this kind of incitement to violence and escalatory rhetoric. When it comes time to elections, we should vote for Democrats en masse. As a message to all the Republicans that are allowing this to happen right now, and to say that you are part of this party and you did nothing to stop it, and so now you no longer have a job. And we need to recruit people to do the same. We need to advocate, we need to convince and recruit people to unelect every single Republican in response. If for this reason and a billion other reasons, they do not deserve to hold political office any longer. Now, is there something that Congress or Democrats or the judiciary can do in response to this blatant escalation in rhetoric? That I'm a little bit less clear on. I guess it's possible there could be like a non-binding resolution that censures Donald Trump for it. I think it probably is a long shot to connect his rhetoric with actual deaths that have happened, particularly because of things like the immunity ruling that the Supreme Court came out with a bunch of years ago, and also the sort of like Department of Justice policy of not indicting sitting presidents. So yeah, I think that the consequences are, as with a lot of consequences that come for Trump, are going to have to come from us being politically activated and engaged and doing the work. Alrighty, Julio Mose says, will the Democrats read the writing on the wall with regards to taking a left? Can you tell me more what you mean by that, taking a left? Do you think they're too extreme, too far to the left, Julio? Because I do have some thoughts about that. Adrian says, do you believe we need to educate ourselves and guide away from Western obscurantism? I don't know what you mean by Western obscurantism. Can you say more about that? I am just Desi98 says, after quietly signing the Epstein bill, he crashes out calling for people to be hung. Holy shit. Yeah, that's a pretty fucking weird combination of activities that have happened. Holy shit, did you even recognize that? My 6th gift goal was achieved. You guys are so sweet. You guys are the best. I love it when a bunch of people do it. So I get to thank Joe Padilla and Mia and Lindsay and Triska and Droz and Comp Cappy for helping me reach my 6th gift goal. All right, we are at gift goal number 7. I think we got to 8 gift goals yesterday. Where is my... Was it 10? The Dolphins are 10. Okay, cool. So yeah, we'll do 10 Dolphins. Fantastic. All right. Adrian says, Western obscurantism refers to either deliberate restriction of knowledge refers to either the deliberate restriction of knowledge in Western societies, or I cannot wait to find out what that or is. Let's see here. Badger Mushroom says, "Have you been to the island?" No, I have not. Hydra says, "How do we get the Supreme Court to repeal presidential immunity?" The Supreme Court is, influenced by public pressure, but I do not believe that the Supreme Court is going to undo that. So the only option there that are on the table are electing a shit ton of Democrats into the Senate, the presidency, and the House. Potentially, we could, sit additional Supreme Court justices who could overrule it. Potentially, we could have the Congress pass a bill undoing that Supreme Court decision. We could potentially impeach the Supreme Court justices for that decision. There's a lot of options on the table if we just give the Democratic Party enough political power to actually do something about it. Okay, sorry, Julio. Let's see here. Sorry, I wanted to try to respond to this. Adrian's still waiting for that. Or the use of deliberately abstruse language in Western intellectual traditions. I suppose so, Adrian. I mean, we're seeing like a lot of censorship coming out of the right now, as far as like banning books and banning certain kinds of language within the government. And so I'm not really sure if that's specifically what you're referring to, but yeah, I guess we need to worry about that, I suppose. Can you give me a specific example of what you're talking about? Okay. Todd Hung says, "What's your opinion on Simon Harris?" I'm not 100% sure if I remember who that is. CS says, "How do we hold the Supreme Court accountable is the better question. They take bribes, impeachment, expanding the court." Shiny Flytrap says, "Start next month, the Coast Guard is changing things they see as hate symbols." Well, that's interesting. Julio says, "Left as in we need a new generation of more left-leaning Democrats." So, Julio, that is an excellent, excellent point. But there are people out there who already believe that the Democratic Party is too far to the left. If you look at one of my most recent videos called America's Bias, I go into a polling study that just came out about how a majority of Americans believe the Democratic Party has gone too far to the left. But I believe that a lot of that data is not inaccurate, but inorganic, meaning that people have been lied to about what the Democratic Party is and what they have been trying to accomplish. And so I agree with you that we would be a stronger political party if we leaned more into the younger progressive Democrats like our AOC's and our Mamdani's. But, there are certain districts in this country where we're still going to have to run more centrist Democrats if we want to have any chance of being competitive in those areas. I personally believe that if you put somebody with Bernie Sanders' message into even the most red district, you could potentially get some electoral wins, because I believe that those ideas are becoming more popular and people love change candidates. They love difference. They love outsiders. But I'm sure that there are some pollsters who will tell you that that is a completely insane thing to try in Tennessee or Alabama or Arkansas or whatever. So yeah, I'm open to having a big tent Democratic Party that has more centrist Democrats in it, that has Joe Manchin's and Nancy Pelosi's and Chuck Schumer's. But it is my guess. My guess is that if we leaned more into the younger progressive wing, we would start seeing some pretty dramatic swings towards the Democratic Party getting more political power. And I reached my 7th gift goal. Thank you, Joe Muzking. Hydros Inc. Oh, it seems like you're a new gifter, Hydros. I haven't seen your name there. And Triska, of course. All right, setting up goal number 8. I think this is where we tapped out yesterday. So this is all very exciting, everybody. All right, where's my dolphin at? Here we go. Dolphin. Okay. Wait. No. Did we do 15 dolphins last time? I can't remember. We did 15 dolphins. We'll do 15 dolphins this time, just to be safe. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Back into the comments. Ooh, Average Joe says, "What's your favorite Thanksgiving tradition, turkey and gravy or blankets and smallpox?" I love Thanksgiving. It's one of my favorite holidays. I love good food. and I love an excuse to just have a big dinner with a bunch of people. Friends, I preferred Friendsgiving to family Thanksgiving, but you know, I go to my in-laws for Thanksgiving, and we have incredible food and always a lovely time. Okay, let's see here. I cannot believe this, you guys. You guys have helped me reach my 8th gift gold already. Hi, Dross, Sink, and Joe Padilla. You guys are way too sweet. Good lord, I'm running out of really nice things to say about you guys. I'm just gonna have to start blushing more. Oh, wait. Okay, let's see here. All right, this could be a record if we get this one as well. Adrian says those are a slide towards a disguised form of theocratic state versus via political evangelism. Those are examples of Western obscurantism. You know, Adrian, I appreciate the level of intellectual rigor that you are bringing to this chat, but I would encourage you to loosen up your language a little bit, just so that we can include more people in this conversation. Like pretty whip smart college graduate here, and I'm having a little trouble following all of the $1,000 words that you're using here. I tried to read this book about the Communist Manifesto by this guy named China something, called A Spectre Haunting or something like that. And the dude was writing very specifically for like the highest level, college academics. And I was like, this is completely impossible to read unless you are dedicating your life to reading this, or unless you're like one of those people that could just like hold those massive thoughts in your brain simultaneously. It took me like half a year to get through this 90-page book. Make your fucking arguments simpler. All right, I can't believe it. We reached gift goal number 9. You guys are too nice. Hydra Sync and Comcappy, thank you so much. Comcappy, I believe you're a relatively new gifter as well, so thank you so much for being here, everybody. All right, is there a $15 15 coin one? Looking for a 15 or a 20. 20. All right, we got Let Him Cook. Let Him Cook. I like Let Him Cook. Okay, here we go. All right, gift goal number 10. Let's see where we go. Okay, let's get back into some of these comments. Blizz Forest says, why do we keep falling for the divide and conquer agenda? Stop worshiping politicians. I agree with you, BL4Z, that we should stop worshiping politicians, but I also think that we need to not expect perfection out of our politicians as well. I also want to make sure that you are not making a both sides argument, because there is a very big difference between politicians on the left and the platform of the left than politicians on the right and the platform of the right. So yes, I do believe that we need to stop falling for the divide and conquer agenda, but the Democratic Party is better than the Republican Party. That's just a fact. Alrighty. Adrian says, I don't agree with the reactionary politics. Harris only moves us further to the right. Do you mean Kamala Harris, or do you mean another Harris? Space Plum says, Don Lemon sucks, no reason. I mean, I heard he's a real jerk, so I thought he was a fine journalist, but apparently when he got fired, everybody was like, yeah, he was mean, he's abusive. Everybody fucking hated him, apparently. Adrian says, Kamala Harris. Only moves us further right. I don't believe that Kamala Harris moves us further to the right. I believe that I think that she's a political animal, and this is probably the harshest criticism I've lobbied at Kamala Harris on this live stream. But she tacks to the left to try to win primaries, and she tacks to the right to try to win generals. I think that she got poll tester brained during the 24 election, where she had to be so careful about everything that she said, so that she ended up sounding like a robot who would not be firm on any of her positions, But I don't think that she is too far to the right or too far to the left. I think that she's, I think she's probably a little bit further to the left than a general centrist, but I don't know. We've reached gift goal number 10. You guys are going to make me blush here today. Joe Padilla, Hydrosonic, Crazy Monsoon, thank you so much. I honestly don't know how to deal with you guys being this nice to me. I don't know the words to use. All right, Let Him Cook. We are back up to Let Him Cook. 15. Here we go. Liam says, where are you from? I grew up in Los Angeles, California. I went to college in Ohio. My parents moved to Pennsylvania, and then I lived in New York for 20 years. Bill's Mafia says, is Trump finally cooked? Trump's obituary has been written 1,000 times. I do believe that these files getting released are potentially going to be really damaging to him. Even if the files are like totally redacted and he's going to claim that they exonerate him, our focus and our interest in holding these people accountable is not going away anytime soon. So I believe that this is going to do lasting damage to Trump and MAGA, even if it doesn't bring him down 100%. All right. What can I say, guys, when I continue reaching these gift goals? Because I'm blown away by you guys, being willing to support me in this way. It is really sweet. And Julio Most, Lindsay Reed, thank you for helping me reach gift goal number 11, I believe that was. So we're just gonna keep this fucking party going, guys. And just know that from the bottom of my heart, I'm getting emotional thinking about this. All right, Liam says, do community even work in countries? And if it does, name a country where it worked or worked. I believe you're asking about communism and not community. And communism is, Liam, basically any company that is employee owned is communist. We have communism here in America right now. Publix grocery store, Bob's Red Mill, oatmeal and grains and shit like that. That is all communism. And those companies are doing great and they have great worker satisfaction rates and profit and all that shit. I think that we need to be encouraging companies to be employee owned with tax incentives and things like that. So yeah, there's never been a communist country. There have been countries that have called themselves communist, but there's never been any actual communist countries. Aria Meta says, do you support Trump? No, I do not. Adrian says, the establishment Democrats have abandoned its socialist roots. Socialism is the only way forward. I believe in a mixed system, Adrian, so I think that it's possible that, we could have a little bit of capitalism, a little bit of communism, a little bit of socialism, and then we could make our country work like that. The Swedish model, the Nordic model. Okay, Shawnee Flytrap says, I thought employee-owned was socialist and government-owned was communist. No, so depending on who you ask the definition of, I'm not going to say fully no, but the way that I understand it is socialism is controlled by the state, aka socialized medicine would be public health care as opposed to private health care. And communist is the workers owning the means of production, so worker-owned companies. I'm sure that other people will, debate that definition, but that is my understanding of it. Space Plum says, what's so interesting about these files is how Trump can construct more and more lies. Yeah, that's 100% accurate. He's going to lie about them. He's going to have Kash Patel release a redacted version that only points to people he doesn't like as being, people that went to the island and shit like that. And, and he's going to say that it totally exonerates him. And whether people buy that is an open question. But I am not going to be part of the coalition that buys it. I am not going to be part of the coalition that hypes up that false narrative. All right. At JPA Grimm says, the media coverage of Harris did more to push the Dem platform to the right than anything Harris ever actually said or did. JBA, I think I 100% agree with that. And my big evidence for that is the whole Liz Cheney controversy. Because Liz Cheney was joining the Harris campaign as a way of saying that Donald Trump is so bad that even this right-wing Republican is going to vote for Harris. But then the media turned that into Kamala Harris and Liz Cheney have the exact same policy platform, and therefore she is abandoning the left. So yeah, I generally tend to agree with that, JBA. I have not done a full forensic audit of the Harris campaign. I only know about it from paying attention to it. It's also been a while since it happened, so I don't really have all the stats and the figures at the top of my fingertips, but I kind of think you're on point there, JPA. Okay, let's get back into these TikTok comments. I got to think of an acronym to thank you guys for helping me reach all these gift goals. It really is beyond the pale. So Julio, Crazy Monsoon, MS, Ms. Megan, Comp Cappy, Lady Lisa, and Triska, y'all are the goats. I cannot believe We hit 20 of the 20s, you know? I think that was 20 of the 20s, right? Yeah, so what do we do next? Is there a 25? We could do a 30, I suppose. Yeah, Sweaty Teddy. That's pretty fun. Encourage people to work out, go to the gym, be healthy. Okay, Schrodinger says all over the place with it. Let's see here. This stream is like push-ups by Drake. Julio says Liz Cheney still voted 99% allied with the GOP agenda. That is 100% accurate. But she was trying to communicate to people that Donald Trump was so dangerous that she was going to vote for Kamala Harris, even though she strongly agreed with Kamala Harris. Cruxel says, I'm so tired of these political live streams. This app used to be fun. You made it a soapbox. No one's forcing you to be here. No one's forcing you to be here. You can just scroll by anytime that you like. No one's forcing you to be here. All right, LB says, why is Trump getting the third temple in Israel? Antichrist comes from where? I have no idea what you're talking about, LB. What is the word? Getting the third temple? I don't know what that means. Aria Meta says, did you see Trump saying all Democrats need to be unalived? I have. It is part of an escalating rhetoric that he has been doing for a long time, and I am just fucking, yeah, man. I'm tired. I'm terrified. We need to send a message to the Republican Party that this is not okay. And that means punishing them at the ballot box. That means unelecting every single fucking one of them from president to dog catcher. If you want to be a Republican in 2025, 2026, you need to say unequivocally that what Donald Trump is doing is irresponsible and dangerous. And we need to be moving away from political violence and divisive rhetoric and inciting our bases to do vengeance against our political enemies. Alrighty, Dan Blackwood says, Jarrett, why did you single-handedly make TikTok political and do you regret it? Not a fucking bit, man. This app had it coming. All right, inserts shorthand for thank you guys so much for helping me achieve my most recent gift goals. Amy Go Medal, Ms. Megan, Triska, Crazy Monsoon, Lindsay Reed. Y'all are goats, and I cannot believe I'm setting up another gift goal here today. Where's my Sweaty Teddy at? Here we go, Sweaty Teddy. 15 Sweaty Teddies. Let's go. Okay, let's see here. Sixer says new Trump Tower in Saudi Arabia. Sus. 100. It is 100%. I think it's really weird that Saudi Arabia and Qatar have security guarantees now with America. They have bought protection from the world's strongest military at a fucking bargain basement price of just giving Donald Trump $1 billion. It's fucking disgusting, man. It is one of a billion reasons why we need to unelect every single Republican. Okay, let's see here. Average Joe over on Twitch says, what percentage of our political problems ultimately stem from unlimited campaign finance? I think it's strongly related, Average Joe. I think part of it is a completely inorganic movement by the billionaire class to create this atmosphere that we are currently in, because when we're fighting amongst ourselves, we're not focused on fighting them. And so the rise of right-wing media, talk radio, Fox News, social media algorithms incentivizing political antagonism as opposed to understanding and engagement. Unlimited campaign finance means more money for political advertising and super PACs that are, basically pool, unlimited money funds for the worst, right-wing actors. Yeah, 100%. Ready. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's 100%, but I do think that it is a big slice of the pie. JBA says, weird that YouTube used my screen name instead of my name this time. It's John Abbott. Oh, hey, what's up, John Abbott? Here I thought I was kissing your ass because you were a new person. Okay, let's see here. Space Plum says Trump is a sociopath, and sociopaths never take responsibility for their actions. That is accurate. Kingston says, have you seen my friend 6 and his best friend 7? 6-7. I'm so glad that old people are saying that now, because that means that it's over as a trend. JP says communism also means a mechanic should own their own shop and tools. I like that a lot. JP says, think you're getting gifts and attention because you are talking in good faith. The bots and bad actors, obviously, by comparison, but how are you staying so chill? I am chronically chill. I am extremely chill. I'm fucking cool as shit, man, from the top of my head to the bottom of my toes. It is the gift that my dad gave me. We are fucking a chill flock. It is a badge of honor that we wear. I'm very proud of that little rant. It is a gift from my father. We're just a cool ass, chill ass motherfuckers. And we reached another gift goal, everybody. 15 sweaty teddies, Crazy Monsoon, Julio, Ms. Megan, Triska, thank you so much again. All right, let's see if we get fucking 20 sweaty teddies here, guys. Let's see here. Okay. Do you guys actually see? There's a little thing up there that said that if I reach this gift goal, I'm gonna sing a song or something. Do you guys actually see that when you make your things, or what? Is that just like a potential thing that pops up? I don't know. I don't know what that means. Oh, you guys do see it. All right, yeah, I'll sing a song if I get this one. Adrian says Democrats are only pushing us further right. Voting for the lesser evil only moves us to a dictator. Adrian, I could not disagree with you more. Are you still here, Adrian? Because I think this is really important that we get into that thing that you just said. So let me know if you're still here. Aria says, do you think Trump is going to get impeached anytime soon? I think it's unlikely that the Republican Party will impeach Donald Trump. I think that with the e-files, we have probably the strongest possibility that Republicans might do that. But the ease with which the House Republicans and the Senate Republicans and Donald Trump signed that bill into law makes me think that they do not believe that it is going to take him down. And so, potentially we will see information in those files either released by the FBI or SDNY that will be so damning that Republicans do stand up to him and impeach him. But I think it's unlikely. I think that if we're going to see Donald Trump getting impeached, it will only be because Democrats take the House. And if we want him to be removed from office, Democrats would need to win every single Senate seat that is up for re-election in 2026, which is statistically very unlikely, but not impossible. Okay, let's see here. Average Joe says, why is it acceptable to be against Islamic ethno-states but anti-Semitic to be against Jewish ethno-states? This seems like blatant hypocrisy. Yeah, I think that we do need to give some allowances to countries to be sovereign. And if you want to be an ethno-state, then you get to be an ethno-state. I think that it is really important, though, that as we are advocating for things like democracy, we also advocate for things like separation of church and state, because we can point to countries where that has been a toxic influence, both for the countries in general, their citizens, their neighboring countries, and things like that. So yeah, I think that we can personally say that religious ethno-states are not ideal. The same way that we could say that like dictatorships are not ideal. Schrodinger says, if we didn't fund Israel, they would collapse. I'm not sure if that's true anymore, actually. Adrian says, the presence and electoral success of reactionary parties in various countries have been noted to pull mainstream conservatives and even center-right parties further to the right, as these parties attempt to appeal to the concerns raised by reactionaries. Adrian, so, I appreciate that you are kind of putting your manifesto in here. But unless you engage with me on this, voting for the lesser of two evils only moves us to a dictator, then I'm going to have to insist that you start asking questions instead of making statements. Because I will engage with you on that thing that you said that I believe is not only wrong but damaging. That is addressing it. Okay, no, I just needed to hear a yes, I am still here from you. Okay, so the reason why we are where we are right now is because people took that attitude that voting for the lesser of two evils is still evil. But when in a two-party system, you refuse to vote for the lesser of two evils, you are empowering the greater of two evils. And so marginalized communities, vulnerable people living in Palestine right now, if they could go back in time, they would and fucking beg us to vote for the lesser of two evils. So yeah, what we have done in not voting for the lesser of two evils, in not voting for Kamala Harris, has empowered a potential fascist takeover of this country. The lesser of two evils is still less evil than the greater of two evils. And if we continue voting for better over worse, we might eventually get to good and maybe even to great. What do you think about that, Adrian? Something about your rhetoric makes me feel like you're unconvincible on this issue, but I gotta tell you, man, I think that ideology of not voting for the lesser of two evils, I think we need more voting in this country. And that just kind of perpetuates a cynicism and detachment from politics that I think is not productive. All right, Schrodner says, yeah, I'm going to go vote for the boot head guy. What the hell does that mean? Slick says, talk about the crooks that are Democrats. Nancy Pelosi worth 150 million. Texas Democrats arrested crooks. So Slick, do you have a problem with Republicans who are doing corruption and grift and making money off of their political offices, or is it just Democrats that you have a problem with making money off of their political office and doing corruption? Slick, will you answer that question? Are you still here? Kimberlina says, what would help more people to vote? I think that people like you and me, Kimberlina, talking to people in real life is the way that we get more people to vote. There are something like 80 million regular non-voters in this country, and I don't know where they are. I want to find them. I want to talk to them. I don't know how to get to them, except for maybe doing live streams like this. So yeah, I think that's the way. I think we also need to start. Adrian says that logic is flawed. Studies show we only move further right when we vote reactionary. But how would you define voting reactionary, Adrian? Is voting for the Democratic Party, which many people argue is too centrist and non-reactionary, voting for a reactionary? Is voting for a big tent party that represents people like AOC all the way to Chuck Schumer? That's reactionary? I don't view that as reactionary. I view that as responsible. Okay, let's see here. What are we talking about here? Mr. J says, I have a problem with insider trading. I have a problem with that too. I have a problem when Republicans do it. I have a problem when Democrats do it. Republicans are fully in control of the government right now. Why are they not voting to make it so that politicians cannot trade on insider information? You got Josh Hawley sign on to that bill. That's one Republican. You got a whole bunch of Democrats in the Senate and the House willing to sign on to that. You got fucking Rick Scott arguing that people in government have to be able to do insider trading or they go broke. What's fucking stopping them, my guy? They got the levers of power. Why aren't they stopping it? Okay, let's see here. Average Joe says propaganda creating cognitive dissonance or closeted bigotry. A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Por qué no los dos? JP says this is the way. I like that. Let's see here. John Abbott says Mamdani had a massive amount of door knockers out actually talking to people about his policies, and it not only took him from 1% to winning, it increased turnout massively. I love to hear that. Yeah, let's fucking talk to people. All right, what's up, Willie? Good to see you again. What do you say about Trump talking about Dems saying to hang them? It is just a further escalation of Trump's calls to violence. We need to be putting political pressure on Republicans to stand up to Trump for doing this, to denounce this and condemn this in the strongest possible language. And we as citizens need to do everything we can to replace elected Republicans with Democrats to teach them a lesson about how this rhetoric is unacceptable. Ready. Lady Lisa says, do you think our government will ever abolish the Electoral College? So in order to abolish the Electoral College, we need to do one of two things. We would need to call a constitutional convention, which is very hard, and then we would need to add that amendment or remove that provision, and that is also very hard to do. But what's very easy to do is pass the National Popular Vote, the National Interstate Popular Vote. Fuck me, I used to say this all the time. The National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. The National Popular Vote Interstate Compact is an agreement that states make that they will just give their electoral votes to whoever wins the popular vote, regardless of how many Democrats or Republicans voted for who in their state. And if we get 270 electoral votes to agree to sign up for the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, then the Electoral College is basically null and void. And so you all out there should call your representatives, your secretaries of states, your mayors, your governors, and ask them, have we signed on to the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact? If we haven't, why not? And if we have, what's the holdup? Chill Betty says, none of us in Alaska, Wyoming, or any of the other small states are willing to do that. Why not? Do you not believe that Republicans in California should have their votes counted? Do you not believe that Democrats in Alabama should have their votes counted? I believe that every vote should count exactly as much as every other vote, Chill Betty. Chill Betty says, why should I give California power over my states? The Electoral College gives California the right to throw out every single Republican vote. Getting rid of the Electoral College does not give California, the state, more electoral power. Getting rid of the Electoral College gives Republicans in California exactly as much electoral power as Democrats in California, and Democrats in Alabama, and Democrats in Texas, and Republicans in New York, and Republicans in Michigan. Chill Betty, do you not buy this? Or are you just going to... Chill Betty says there's no Republicans in California. That's a lie, Chill Betty. That is a straight up lie. Ask a question, or I'm going to boot you. You're sus as hell right now. Fog War Productions says Electoral College abolition just gives full power to the eastern U.S. over the western U.S. Are you being sarcastic, Fog War? Because I don't really believe that that is an accurate thing that you just said. All right, Adrian says reactionary politics seeks to reverse recent changes and restore previous idealized political order. Okay, so you believe that a government coming in and undoing the previous government's policies is reactionary politics. I mean, I could understand that, I suppose, Adrian, but what do you think we should do if one person gets into office and starts doing a whole bunch of crazy fucking shit that is obviously beyond the pale and not the norms, Adrian? What is your solution to that, if not voting for the other political party to undo all of those things? Kinnear says, and that rep goes and votes for their pick, be it Democrat or Republican. Badger75 says, more Republicans in California than in 10 red states. That is accurate. Super Smashby says, ranked choice popular vote is the way. 100% Super Smashby. I'm with you on that. Kinnear says, you do not elect the president on the day you elect an electoral college rep for East District. Yeah, that is what the electoral college is, and I am arguing that that is a bad system. W. Page, great to see you. Thank you for being here. Alrighty. JP says, every state is somewhere between 40, 60, 60, 40. There are no 100% one-party states. That is accurate. Alrighty, everybody. We are at an hour. Jen XBF says, I live in California, confirm lots of Republicans here. Parentheses, unfortunately. I see way too many Cybertrucks for there to be no fucking Republicans in California. Kinnear says, me too, man. Me too. I don't the Electoral College. I also don't the Electoral College. All right, everybody, get your final questions in. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for all the support. I cannot believe how many of my gift goals we reached today, guys. I heard it helps in the algorithm. We'll see if, this ends up, working out for us as far as like getting more viewers and stuff. Andrew says, are you neutral? I am as unbiased as a human being can be. I'm a progressive Democrat, registered, but that does not mean that the things I'm saying are inaccurate or biased, Andrew. Let's see here. Brett K. Duncan says, why is the Electoral College a bad system given that we are a republic and not a pure democracy? The simplest way I can say this, Brett, is that the Electoral College means that our elections are decided by like 8 states every single fucking time. If you live in a deep red state or a deep blue state, presidential candidates will never go there because they view your state as done. If you are a Republican living in California, you feel like your vote doesn't matter. If you're a Democrat living in Florida, you feel like your vote doesn't matter. We need to get rid of the Electoral College not only to bring equity back to voting, but to get people more excited about voting because they will know that their vote counts for the first time in a long time. Additionally, the Electoral College gives people living in like Wisconsin or Wyoming more political power than people living in California. That doesn't seem fair to me. Like, why did that person get more political power than me just because of what state they live in? All right. So yeah, we'll see if this helps us out in the algorithm when we start getting more viewers to the show. If you want to support the show financially, you can, but you don't have to. I have a Patreon that you can join for as little as $1 a month. I have a store that you can buy things from. Links are in my bio. And of course, you can send gifts and become super fans and subscribers on TikTok and Twitch and YouTube. If you are an Amazon Prime member, then you can subscribe to my channel on Twitch. It costs you nothing, but it gives me a little bit of money from Amazon, which is really nice. Every little bit counts to help this show stay alive. Let's see here. We're really close to reaching my final gift goal. If you guys want to do any more sweaty teddies, obviously you don't have to. I'll be fine if we don't hit it. And shout out to my patrons, Robert, Shannon, Carmine, and Patrick. And shout out to my super fans on TikTok, Susie, Sean, Dan, and Hot Sauce. If there are any questions that I was not able to get to on this live stream that you have later, do not hesitate to reach out. I want to be a resource for you guys. I want to help you be more informed and more involved in politics. So if there's a way that I can do that, reach out to me. DMs are open. Email me through my website. Hit up my Discord channel. I want to be a resource for you guys. So use me and abuse me. Use me until you use me up. The Discord is my favorite resource right now because in addition to being a great way to get in touch, there's also a community of people there that are like-minded, that also love this show. And there are great threads for recommendations for books and podcasts and civil actions that you can take and great organizations to volunteer for. Regular streaming schedule is Monday through Friday, starting around 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. And lastly, just my heartfelt plea that everybody out there listening does the work, because it is only through us doing the work that we're going to be able to have a better government and a better country. You know, we don't have to live like this. We don't have to live with fucking worried that a car malfunction or a healthcare crisis is going to make us poor for the rest of our fucking lives for generations. And so, yeah, let's have a better fucking country. Let's all have better fucking lives. Lauji says, are the majority of y'all still living paycheck to paycheck? I believe that that is true. Fog War Productions says, what protections can Democrats offer lightly populated states in exchange for the Electoral College? I mean, lightly populated states still have an outsized influence in our government through the Senate. So why is that not enough, Fog War Productions? Like, why do smaller states need to have more sway over citizens in other states? The best argument that I can think of for this is that if you are a Republican voting in California, your vote is thrown away, essentially. And if you're a Democrat living in Alabama, your vote is essentially thrown away. So why are we disenfranchising people? Why are we convincing people that their votes are worthless? Why are we making it easy for people to not vote, to not be a part of their civic fucking duties? Okay, GFL29 says, between get rid of all immigrants versus any concern is racist, what is the middle ground? The middle ground is the Democratic Party platform. We need to fix the immigration system by hiring more asylum judges and immigration judges. The Trump administration is firing asylum judges and immigration judges. We need to streamline a path to citizenship. The Trump administration has basically made it impossible for anybody who isn't white or rich to become a citizen. We need to be working with countries south of us to address the root causes of immigration. Donald Trump's trying to start a fucking forever war in Venezuela and Colombia and send the military into Mexico. That's not going to fucking do it. And the Democrats worked with Republicans on a border bill to address the immigration crisis, but the Republicans threw it in the garbage so that they could win the election in 24 on the issue of immigration. So if your political party is doing barbaric shit that is only making the problem worse, and you are throwing your own legislation away so you can use it to win elections, you have zero credibility on this issue. Get the fuck out of my government. Vote them all out of power. End of fucking rant, guys. Hangry Panda says the Electoral College served its purpose when it was created, but today it hinders our country. I don't know if I agree that it had a purpose in the past, but I agree that it hinders our country today. Stabby the Unicorn says, I'm not just living paycheck to paycheck. I owe my bank more every payday. That is a fucking travesty, man, and you should not have to live like that. All right, everybody, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you again, everybody, for being here and for all of your support. I cannot believe, the support today has been unparalleled. Nico says, why was Electoral College even founded in the first place? There is debate amongst historians and legal scholars. Some people claim that it was a giveaway to slaveholding states. Other people disagree. There is an excellent essay about the Electoral College written by one of the legal scholars on the Strict Scrutiny podcast, whose name is, it's not Melissa Murray, it's not Leah Lippman, it's Kate Shaw. Google Kate Shaw Electoral College and read that essay. That is all the information you need to know about both the Electoral College and why we should be getting rid of it. All right, everybody, thank you again. Do the work, be good to each other, be good to yourselves. Self-care is part of the work, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye!